Hello, I'm Charles Montgomery, and welcome to another episode of Charlie's Chatter. Earlier this week, the preseason top 25 rankings came out for NCAA basketball, as the Michigan State Spartans are the preseason number one for the first time in program history. Moving on to the NFL, the 49ers and Patriots both remain undefeated after the 49ers beat the Redskins 9-0 on Sunday, and the Patriots dominated the Jets 33-0 on Monday. Aaron Rodgers led the Green Bay Packers to a rout of the Raiders on Sunday with 6 total touchdowns and a perfect passer rating, the first perfect passer rating game in Green Bay Packers history. Lamar Jackson took the Ravens to Seattle, and they put together a very impressive 30-16 win over Russell Wilson and Seattle, as they are now 2 games up in the AFC North over the Steelers and Browns. The Bills are now 5-1 after putting together a very good win against the Miami Dolphins despite struggling in the first half, and hold a nice lead in the AFC for a wild card, as their only loss comes against the undefeated Patriots. Going to college football, not a very important weekend. The biggest story, number 6 Wisconsin gets knocked off by Illinois. Going into the weekend, they had a 33% chance to make the college football playoff. With that loss, their chances are virtually zero, as the Illini pulled off the greatest upset of the season so far, despite them having a terrible season. They put together a very impressive win. Wisconsin, before the field goal, it was a last-second field goal, had never trailed the entire year. And for the final second, they trailed to the Illini to lose their first game of the season. Only 2 more upsets occurred. Number 22, Missouri, lost to unranked Vanderbilt. The Vanderbilt Commodores, with a very terrible record. They've been bad in the SEC for a few years now. Pulled off a very impressive victory over Kelly Bryant and the Missouri Tigers. Missouri now just 2 losses on the year, but both very embarrassing losses as they've come against Wyoming and Vanderbilt now. Number 14, Boise State was shocked by BYU as well late Saturday night, as it's too bad for the Blue Guys there, as the Boise State Broncos not looking too good now in the Mountain West. Going on, we will give you a preview. This could be the biggest weekend in college football this season. We've had big weekends earlier this year, but this one has some of the biggest college football playoff implications to date. The number 13 Wisconsin Badgers, like I told you, the loss really hurts their chances. They will travel to Columbus to take on number 3 Ohio State. The Buckeyes, of course, have been the most dominant team in college football. They have just routed every single opponent. They haven't played many top opponents, but they've done a fantastic job against the lower teams that they have played. Justin Fields leading the way his first year as Buckeyes quarterback. Jason Day, his first year as head coach of Ohio State. They look very strong in Wisconsin. This is a very dangerous situation for Ohio State to go into. Wisconsin, they're looking for blood. Their season, college football playoff season in that matter, is over. They need a lot to fall their way for them to make it, and I don't see it happening. They could really pose some problems for Ohio State on Saturday, but I think the Buckeyes, too dominant of a team right now, other than Alabama. I think they have the greatest chance to win the national championship. They are the most sound team I've watched. I even think they're better than LSU in some circumstances. I think Ohio State pulls off a very, very impressive victory at home against a Big Ten foe. And more than likely, Wisconsin will move on to the Big Ten championship and take on Ohio State. In my book, in my predictions, they will take on Ohio State again later in December in the Big Ten championship. Moving on, number 9, Auburn. The Auburn Tigers are in Death Valley to take on number 2, LSU. Always a great matchup. LSU has won the last 2, and the last 3 have been decided by at least one score. So very close matchups. Very good game coming up here. Bo Nix, the freshman quarterback, into one of the toughest places to play in college football, going up a very good LSU team. They're not been known for their defense this season. It's their offense. Joe Burrow, Heisman Trophy candidate. He's my number 2 guy right now. I think Jalen Hurts has the ump on him. But talking about Joe Burrow, fantastic quarterback. He's easily a top 5 pick coming up in the NFL. And he could lead LSU to one special season. Right now, LSU, I think, has made a case to be number 1. I really believe that. They have looked fantastic. They've beaten 2 top 10 teams, one of those at Texas. They're a great team. I really think they're better than Alabama. Alabama, if they wouldn't be dominating so many teams, they wouldn't be number 1. But since they've dominated lower teams, not good teams at all, they're number 1 for a reason. But Auburn, strong team, very dangerous team. Despite it being in Baton Rouge, it's a dangerous game for LSU. This is a game that they might underestimate, but I doubt they will. But you just never know. It's the same case that Ohio State's in. Wisconsin, their season looks to be over playoff-wise. they're dangerous. There's nothing to lose now. Auburn, they have something still to gain. They are very much in the hunt in the SEC, as it is a very tough field right now this season with Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Auburn, of course. So, very big game. I think LSU, though, despite, a lot of people would love me to say Auburn, I think LSU is going to get the win. I really hope it's a great game because, like I said, the last 3 have been decided by 1 score. So, please keep it to a game, please. Going on, number 8, Notre Dame at number 19, Michigan. Michigan, you guys know how I feel about the Wolverines. Very disappointed in them. I did predict at the beginning of the season that Jim Harbaugh would be out of the job at the end of the year. I think he's going to be out of the job now as they've been pretty depressing. The Penn State game, they only lost by 1 touchdown to Penn State. It was not a 1-touchdown game. It was definitely a 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown performance by Penn State. They kind of let them get back a little bit. But Notre Dame, strong team. They have a very good defense. They look really good when they've played this year. I have faith. I think Notre Dame, they're a strong team. They're not going to make the playoff. They're like Wisconsin. They need a lot of things to fall their way. Of course, they don't have a conference championship being an independent, but I think they get a very important win and a very classic matchup. Michigan, Notre Dame, always a fun matchup. Really, really another one. Please live up to it. Please. This is a very important weekend. I'd love to have some good games. Now, that is it. Those are your 3 ranked matchups. Just to give you an overview real quick, 10 top 25 teams are on the road this weekend. 10. It's a very, very upset-worthy weekend. We can see a lot of things happen. Like I said, this is probably the biggest weekend when it comes to playoff implications yet. Number 5, Oklahoma at Kansas State. Kansas State new head coach Bill Snyder retiring after last season. Not a bad year for K-State. They're coming off a nice win against Gary Patterson's TCU squad. But Oklahoma, they're coming off dominating my Mountaineers 52-14. Jalen Hurts putting up, again, another impressive performance. 1 incompletion from Jalen Hurts. Kid is unreal. He's my Heisman Trophy winner right now. Easily Heisman Trophy winner. I know Burrow's been great, but Hurts, it's ridiculous. He can throw for 450 yards, but then he can run for 200. He can throw for 5 touchdowns, but then he can go run for three as well. He's unbelievable. He's an incredible quarterback. He's done a fantastic job, and I think they're going to continue to roll. Boomer Sooner, they will get the win. The Sooner Shooter, real quick, Sooner Shooter, if you guys haven't seen it, it's the funniest video I've seen this year. The Sooner Shooter tipping over, people getting kind of flipped all over. Nobody was hurt. Like Neil Brown said on Tuesday, he can laugh about it because nobody was hurt, so it's fine. But it's a pretty funny video. If you have not seen it, just look it up. Sooner Shooter flipping over. Pretty comical. But Oklahoma, they're going to get the win. They're going to continue to be undefeated, and they're going to run away. They're running away with this conference. They've already beaten Texas. There's not many people left in the Big 12. There's Baylor. They still have to play Baylor, but I think Oklahoma is just going to continue to run away with the Big 12. Number 6, Penn State at Michigan State. Michigan State struggling again, 4-3. They're hurting. They've been a kind of a disappointment to me in my eyes for the last couple of years. I think they might be looking for a new coach. I really do. They might start looking for a new head coach. They've been disappointed. They really have. There was some expectations for them this year, and that Arizona State lost their first loss. Not a bad loss per se. Arizona State is a very good team, but Michigan State just disappointing this season, and Penn State unbelievably good. They're going to give Ohio State a run for their money. The Buckeyes still the best team though in the country, other than Alabama and LSU. But Penn State, they're going to roll, get to 7-0. They're 7-0 right now. They're going to get to 8-0. Then looking forward to that showdown here in a few weeks against Ohio State. They're going to get a nice win against Michigan State in East Lansing. Wrapping it up, number 15, Texas is at TCU. The Longhorns had a bit of a scare last Saturday, taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas, Les Miles, first year with the Jayhawks, almost pulled off one of his spectacular upsets. Would have been the greatest upset, I think, in Kansas football history, but did not happen. They gave Dicker, the kicker, too much time as Texas Longhorns remain with just 2 losses on the year. Still a very impressive team as they are rolling along despite the Oklahoma loss. They can still make some noise and make it to the Big 12 Conference Championship. Well, TCU, 3-3. This is very weird. Back-to-back season, they were terrible last year. In Gary Patterson's view, they're terrible. They are last year, and they're bad again this year, 3-3. Not what you usually see from a Gary Patterson squad. Usually that is the storyline. They'll be bad one year, and the next year they usually end up being 9-3, 10-2, something like that. And 3-3 this year. They're not looking good. So very disappointing year for them. And I think Texas is going to keep going. Ellinger, he's going to lead the Longhorns. They're going to get a very impressive win in Fort Worth and keep moving along. So those are my highlight games. There's a lot more games going on, of course, but those are my games that I'm going to be watching. West Virginia is not playing, so I can actually relax and not really kind of worry about them, which I'm not. Not expecting too much this season from them, but just going to be a good weekend. Hopefully these games are living up to the hype. One last thing, the NBA did tip off this week as Zion Williamson, who could have been the most electric player in the league, is missing the first 6 to 8 weeks as he's nursing his meniscus injury that came out last week that he would be hurting for a while, and it came out earlier this week, the timetable. So we will have to wait to see the rookie's debut in the NBA. But that is it for episode 2 of Charlie's Chatter. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.